Okay, systems test review. Okay, number 1 says John has a total of 25 quarters and dimes. The amount of money he has is $5.65. Which system models the scenario? Well, it doesn't tell me, but obviously Q is going to be quarters and D is going to be dimes. And we also need to realize that quarters are 25 cents, which is 0.25 as a decimal, and dimes are 10 cents, which is 0.10 as a decimal. So the biggest thing to remember here is that money goes with money goes with money. So money is 25 cents, so 25Q. Well, this has 10Q, so I know that's wrong. This has 0.25Q, so that could be correct. This one has 10Q, so I know that one's wrong. So money goes with money goes with money. I know that quarters plus dimes has to equal 5.65, so A is the correct answer. Okay, looking at number 2, Melissa sells tickets for admission to the water park and collects a total of $355. Admission prices are $15 for adults and $10 for children. She sold 50 tickets total. Which system can be used? So it tells me adult tickets is A, so this is 15A for adults, and then children tickets are C, so 10C. So I know it has to have a 15A and a 10C. This one does, this one does, this one does not, and this one does not. Okay, well again, money goes with money goes with money, so 15A plus 10C equals 355, which is C. Okay, number 3. Okay, I'm going to pull up my calculator. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and type in the one equation that it does give me that I can type in. So y equals negative 1/5 x minus 2/5. And I get this line. So I want you to realize this touches at negative 2, 0, which if I put on these graphs, negative 2, 0, negative 2, 0, negative 2, what's the only graph that actually has that point on one of their lines, well, even on both of the lines, is B. So B has to be my answer. We could solve this for y to double check. Minus 2x minus 2x. Now I cannot have a negative y, so I'm going to put a 1, and I'm going to divide everything by negative 1. And that gives me y equals positive 4 plus 2x, so we can type that one. Y equals 4 plus 2x, and again they both touch there, so B is my answer, and my answer is negative 2, 0. Okay, looking at number 4, there's 2 ways to do number 4, and I'm going to show you both. Okay, so it tells me there's 2 types of tickets sold at the High School Musical. Adult tickets X, so I'm going to write that X equals adults, and student tickets is Y. Okay, it says the price of a student ticket is 50% of the price of the adult ticket. It gives me all this information, but it also gives me the 2 equations, so I don't have to write the equations. So it tells me that this line is already graphed, and that the second line is this. Well, if I want this line to get in my calculator to make my life easier, I have to figure out how to do that. So there's 2 ways to do that. We could build a table and use 2 pretty points. So I think this might be a pretty point, 0, 13, and I see that there's a pretty point right here at 8, 7. So I'm going to put that one in my calculator, plus sign table, 0, 13, 8, 7, and I'm going to click my little fancy button, and now I have a line, which looks similar. So that my other equation, I actually have an equation, so y equals 0.50x, and then I can see where they touch. So they touch right here at 10.4, 5.2, but I have to realize it says what is the price of a student ticket? Well, student tickets is y, so 5.2. B is my closest answer. Now the other way to do this one would be to solve for y. So 75x plus 100, y equals 1315. And I'm going to subtract 75x from both sides, and I get 100. Y equals, sorry, I didn't have enough room. And I divide everything by 100. Now you don't even have to simplify. You can type it just like that in your calculator. So I'm going to turn this one off. So again, I only have that y equals equation that we've already typed in. And I'm going to type this one in. So y equals, not plus, 1315.50 divided by 100 minus 75 divided by 100 x, and again it gives me the exact same answer. So y is my answer, which is B. So that works. Okay, this is a show work problem. I would accept either of these as my show work. Okay, let's flip. Okay, number 5. Number 5 you can solve anyway. It does not specify, and even if it does, it's fine. So what I want you to realize, it is set up for substitution, but I prefer graphing. So if you are good at substitution, you substitute away. However, I'd rather graph. Well, I have to change these letters to x and y if I want to graph. Well, if this one's already equals a, I can change the a to a y and the b to an x, and now that's an equation I can type in my calculator. So, but I need to document that a is y and b is x, so I don't forget on my final answer. Okay, so then I'll rewrite this one as 5x plus 4y. Well, this one I can type in my calculator, but not that one, so I'm going to solve for y. So again, 2 steps. We move our x. Okay, that zeroes out, and I divide by what's in front of y. So I'm going to divide by exactly what's in front of my y, which is a positive 4. And I'm not even going to simplify. I'm going to type it just like this in my calculator, and this one I'm going to flip the y equals first, but it's the same thing. So let's pull up my calculator. Not that. Okay, and I have y equals negative 7x minus 15. So that's that one that was already solved. And then I have y equals negative 14 over 4 minus 5 over 4x. And I'm just going to see where they touch. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. They touch right here at negative 2, negative 1. Now this is where it was important to write this down. X is my b, and a is my y. So this says, what is a? Oh, a, it's my y, sorry. So a is negative 1, and b is negative 2. Don't do all that work to get this right and then flip-flop your answers. Okay, let's look at number 6. 6 says Leo's Limos charges 50 cents per mile plus a cleaning fee of $25. Rachel's Rides charges 75 cents per mile with a $10 cleaning fee. How many miles would the car service have to drive in order for the cost to be the same? Well, I want you to realize the 2 things it's wanting to know is how many miles and for the cost. So I'm going to go ahead and read this again. It says 50 cents per mile plus a one-time cleaning fee. I know it doesn't say that, but we're only going to pay a cleaning fee one time. So I know that this is going to be a y equals equation, and I know per is where my x goes. So 0.50x plus my one-time cleaning fee is going to be my total. And because it says per mile, I know that x represents my miles. Therefore, y is going to be my total cost. Okay, my other equation is the other Rachel's Rides charges 0.75 per mile, so there's my x, plus a $10 cleaning fee. Well, solving this one's super simple because they're both y equals, so we like this one. And we get y equals 0.50x plus 25. And then we get y equals 0.75x plus 10. And we gotta zoom so we can see. And they touch at 60:55, but that's not my final answer. We have to use words. So this one says the car service would drive blank miles. Well, which represents my miles is x. So it's going to be 60 miles in order for the cost to be the same. And the cost being the same would be $55. But it didn't ask for that. So, okay, let's look at number 7. So again, number 7 we can solve any way we want. You can do substitution. Well, it's not set up for substitution, but you could. You could also do elimination. However, I'm going to solve for y and do graphing. So I'm going to rewrite my equations. and I'm going to solve for y. So 2 steps. We move our x, so minus 2x, and we divide by y. Well, I don't have a number there, but I do have a negative, and I can't have a negative. If you need to put a number, you can always put a 1. And we're going to divide everything by negative 1. So that leaves me with y is negative 10 plus 2x. Use your calculator to simplify, or type it just like this. Okay, here minus x, and again you put a 1. Divide everything by 2. And that one is as simple as it gets. And we're going to type those in our calculator and see where they touch. So y equals negative 10 plus 2x, and then we have y equals negative 5 over 2 minus 1/2 x, not like that, and we're going to see where they touch, which is right here. So we get 3, negative 4, which is an option, that is C. Okay. Here it says a local painting studio sells artist kits in 2 sizes. The table below shows the number of brushes and jars of paint that come in either kit and their respective costs. What is the total of each item? Well, this is kind of like that one we did as a warm-up. Now, I want you to realize we don't know the cost of the 2 items. So we have brushes, so we can have x be the cost of brushes, and then we have jars of paint. So y equals the cost of jars. Well, each kit is going to be its own equation. So $2 2 brushes plus 5 jars of paint equals this. So 2x plus 5y equals 635. And then 4x, because it's still brushes, plus 12 is still jars of paint, y equals 1320. So there's my 2 equations, and it doesn't just ask for the equations. I have to solve. So knowing that, I'm going to go ahead and solve for y again. And since this one has some weird decimals, I'm not even going to simplify. So move my x, divide by y, and I'm going to type it just like that. So my other equation, move my x, divide by y, and I'm going to type those in. And we're going to see where they touch. Kind of hard to tell. So I'm going to zoom in. Whoop, not what I meant to do. And I get 255, 2.55, not comma 0.25. Okay, well then we have to figure out which one's which. Well, it says the cost per brushes. Well, remember we said X was brushes. So brushes is 255. And then Y was jars of paint. The cost per jar of paint is 25 cents. So 0.25 is the cost for jars of paint. Okay, let's look at number 9. Number 9 is a substitution problem, but you don't even have to solve it all the way. You just have to identify and plug in, substitute. So we have to identify which one is our substitute equation, which is this one, because the X is all by itself. And this is my sub. So we're going to replace X. So negative 7, take out the x, minus 2y equals negative 13, and we plug in our substitute. So 2y plus 11. Well, the one that's plugged in just like that is D. Okay, look at number 10. This one is all worked out for us. They did elimination. The x is eliminated and the y is eliminated, and we were left with 0 equals 60. Well, does 0 equal 60? No, that's false. So this is no solution. Okay, look at number 11. Kyle wants to use linear combination or elimination method to solve the systems below. Which of the following steps would result in Kyle eliminating the y term? So if we want to cancel y's, this is where we're looking. Well, I have a positive 2y, and this is technically a positive 1y. I'm going to look at my smaller one. Can I turn a 1 into a 2? I can. But what cancels a positive 2y? Well, a negative 2y. So negative 2 times this whole thing. But negative 2 times 1 would give me that. So my answer is C. Okay, number 12, this is the tiles that we've kind of talked about at the beginning. So just a reminder, the white boxes and circles and rectangles are positive and these are negative. So a positive and a negative cancel each other. So this one cancels this one. Cancel, cancel, cancel. This cancels, okay? These two cancel these two. These two cancel these two. These two cancel those two. And then I'm left. So I have one circle left. And then on the other side I have 1, 2, 3 singles. So what matches that? Well, A. Okay, number 13 says which graph has no solution? So remember, that means it's going to be parallel because they never touch. Not that I don't see them touch, but they never touch. Well, these two touch right here, so that's obviously has a solution. We're not going to choose that one. But I don't see where these three touch. However, do you notice that these two are getting closer and closer? If I continue, they keep getting closer, and eventually they're going to touch somewhere. So that has a solution. This one too, see how they're getting closer and closer? If I continue the lines, they're going to eventually touch, and that has a solution. These, however, are parallel. If I continue my lines, they continue the same distance apart, so C is my answer. Okay, number 14. Okay, 14 is just says what's the best solution? Well, I see that they touch. And they touch right here, so my x was somewhere between 4 and 5. Well, the only one that has something between 4 and 5 is B. But let's check our y to be safe. Between 5 and 6, which is also between 5 and 6, so B is my answer. Choose your best fit solution. Okay, number 15. Alexandra finds that she can give 3 haircuts and 2 hair dyes in 315 minutes. Giving 4 hair dyes and 2 haircuts in 450 minutes. Which solution? So the biggest thing to do here is figure out what x equals, or what x means and what y means. So x is haircuts. So anywhere I see the word haircuts, I'm going to put an x. Haircuts. So that goes with the 2. And then anywhere I see hair dyes is y. So hair dyes and hair dyes. And I'm going to rewrite those equations. So 3x plus 2y equals 315. So I'm going to cross off anything I can. 3x plus 2y equals 315. That one doesn't have it. 3x plus 2y is 315. That one doesn't have it. So we're between these two. Well, 4y and 2x, so I'm going to put them in order, equals 450. So you have to be really careful because that second part of the sentence, or the second sentence, flipped the hair dyes and the haircuts, so it gets a little confusing. So 2x plus 4y equals 450, so D is our answer. And this one is correct, but flipped, so you have to be really, really careful with your reading. All right, last one. The line graph represents the first two, or the first of two. So the line graph is my first equation. Okay, we're going to call that line 1 in a system. If the second line passes through these points, so the second line, a different one from this one, is 3, negative 3. Well, that's on that line. And 0, 2, which is also on that line. That means when I connect those dots, that's my second line, which is right on top. Meaning everywhere they touch is a solution, which is everywhere. So this is infinite solutions. But be careful, it says which statements are true, meaning more than one. Well, it's not no solution because it's infinite solutions. There's not one solution, so those are both wrong. And then we can check this one. You could type it in your calculator, or y-intercept is 2, which is correct. Negative 5 over 3x. Well, if I go down 5 over 3, that does work, or we can type it in. We could do plus sign table and do 3, negative 3, the points it gave us, and then 0, 2, and click our button and check the equation, which I don't know because that's an ugly one, so we're going to click the 3 dots, custom regression, and we're going to type M, And it is negative 5/3, so E is my other answer. All right, good luck on your test.